Good morning. My name is Lorraine Hughes and I'm Director of Education for Chiltern Learning Trust. This presentation encapsulates our school improvement framework. You may find that there are significant elements from which you can gain from this, that you might find that there are only very small sections that are useful to you. This is just one overview of one school improvement framework of a multi-academy trust. So welcome colleagues to the presentation today. So I'm going to talk to you about the school improvement framework that we use, and I think most importantly we need to start with where this actually came from. So every school improvement framework will be informed by the vision and the values of a trust. These are our values that you can see on screen now. These very much underpin our school improvement framework as a foundation for the KPIs and the work which we do, but they're about our philosophy, and this does not work in isolation from all that we do as a trust and how we serve our community. And you can see here that there are expectations that are linked to our vision and our values. And can you see here the emphasis that is on leadership and on improving teaching? This very much is the foundation for all that we do. So our school improvement framework is not just informed by our vision, our values and our philosophy, but it's also informed by the research. And there is a multitude of research out there about the impact of high quality pedagogy on the outcomes for young people and upon the impact of professional development and the significance of high quality professional development on student achievement. And I quote there the CST paper as just one example of the research that exists. And our model is very much built on that as well. This research here from Cordingly that builds on Croft and Pape's research also has very much informed our school improvement framework. You can see again, the focus is on pedagogy, the focus is around collaboration, on trust, and importantly, on a shared language for teaching and learning. But our framework is not just about the values, the vision, it's not just about the research, it's based on practical learning. We collaborate with others all the time. We learn from them, we give to them, and through those collaborations, we learn. We magpie lots and lots of different information and lots of different models of practice. And our school improvement framework is therefore evolving all the time. So that's where our framework is from. But how do we do it? What do we actually do to bring about school improvement as a trust? So our approach, as I've said probably 5 times already throughout this presentation, our approach is very much about pedagogy, alignment, empowering leaders. It's one of a coaching model and exposure to rich practice. The key things are about pedagogy and teacher development and about leadership development. This particular slide here is a cycle of school improvement. It shows what we do. But to be honest, we review our schools case by case, we adapt, we evolve. It's a very much iterative process that's continuous. But we do spend a lot of time getting to know the schools, looking at information and processes and reviewing them. We spend a lot of time thinking about how we're going to bring about decisions and how we're going to deploy resource. We do not impose a curriculum or a particular model, if you like, on schools. What we do is spend time getting to know them, getting to know their context, and then improving them in terms of what they need at which point. And like I say, that could change and adapt at all times. It's not as simple as perhaps that particular diagram suggests it is. And importantly, it is about improving, not proving. Of course, we have KPIs that I'll come to in the rest of the presentation, and we have metrics and measures, but our definitions and our KPIs are there to have professional dialogue, professional discussions, and improve practice, not just a weigh and measure. So critical to our school improvement model is our capacity. You can see there in that diagram in front of you, the significance of the capacity we have as a trust. If we take, for example, the red area and the green area, that's our operations and marketing team, and that's our finance and compliance team. And these individuals are critical to school improvement because they enable schools to focus more on pedagogy and leadership development. We have a vast school improvement team and teaching school team identified there in the yellow and blue sections. So let's home in on that and look a little bit further. So we have capacity to deploy high quality teachers and leaders across the trust to bring about improved practice. Take there, for example, the MAT development team. I feel incredibly privileged that I work with high quality practitioners who are directors of maths, English, science, primary practice, but also in the arts, in music, in engineering and technology and the sports. Because for us, the school improvement is not just about outcomes and results, it's about the well-rounded individual as well. I work alongside a high-quality team, as you can see in the slides there, Julian Axford, who is an outstanding head teacher in an outstanding school, as my school improvement director. We also work with the very competent Emma Darcy, who innovates nationally in terms of technology, which is one thing that we believe is very important to student outcomes and their experiences. And then I have another range of leaders in Neil Mills, Sue Teague, and Nadine Cotton there, who support with individual school improvement. We all act as SIPs for schools, and we meet bi-weekly with the head teachers and the leaders in those schools to bring about school improvement. But what's also important here is we still provide support and we still gain innovation and support back, rich leadership, if you like, from our outstanding schools. So in some school improvement models, you'll find that the outstanding schools are perhaps visited less by the MAP, whereas we spend a lot of time with all of our schools on the ground. We have a model where we carry out what are called quality and development reviews, and it's not just this team. Importantly, leaders from across our trust, head teachers from across our trust contribute to that school improvement. Our head teachers will have performance management targets that are linked to the key vision areas, the key development areas that we have as a trust. For example, in areas such as diversity and inclusion, or in areas such as the development of oracy. So we gain a great deal of capacity from utilising professionals within our central team and beyond. We still have specialist leaders of education in our trust as well. And what our model is brilliant because they work for us as a central team 1 day a week, so we can deploy them, and we can deploy them for long-term positions as well. And that means we don't have to negotiate that particular individual out of a school curriculum or timetable, which is fantastic for school improvement. We are fortunate enough as well to have 2 significant teaching school hubs. And this brings about school improvement in terms of giving back to the system, not just about our schools, but it also helps our trust because the practitioners that lead the MPQs, the various courses, various school support deployments, that means that they too develop as individuals and they develop as practitioners and they stay cutting edge, which contributes not only to the system, but also to our schools. And it is a fantastic recruitment tool as well, because we can offer those positions as a trust through our actual central team, but also through our teaching school hub. We also have a vast school-centred initial teacher training, and importantly, all of the school improvement advisors will contribute to the curriculum and contribute to ITE as well. So that means that they always stay ahead of research, they stay cutting edge, and they contribute. Our KPIs are not based on the 1 to 4 model in terms of Ofsted. They're not based on Ofsted descriptors. They're based on 4 Rs, and that ranges from renew through to rich practice. And our model is about sharing rich practice and exposure to that rich practice. This is based on Robert Hill's 4 Rs. And in that rich category, it truly is top-end outstanding, world-class level. Would I drive beyond 100 miles to see this practice? And exposure to that rich practice, it means that we can bring about that school improvement. And rich practice occurs in all schools. It's not just the case that rich practice occurs in outstanding schools. All of our schools will contribute in some way. The KPIs are within 5 areas on our school improvement framework, and then they themselves have sub-areas. So our school improvement areas are, as you can see on the slide there, finance and governance, site, health and safety, risk and compliance, and then moving on to standards, quality of teaching and staff development, and leadership and management. And then within those areas, there are subcategories that have KPIs defined. That comes from, like I said earlier, that comes from the values, the vision, the research, and magpieing from lots of organisations that we engage with. We also have a department improvement framework that is utilised to develop years in primary schools or to develop departments in the secondary model. And you can see there the 8 elements in which the DIF is broken down into. I think what's also important is these particular KPIs have all been co-constructed, and they're not a model that has been imposed by the central team that we've defined and constructed quietly on our own. We have worked with school leaders on this, and importantly, the teaching and learning leads to codify what excellence looks like. And the model is not dissimilar to what is demonstrated in David Carter's book about leading academy trusts. Those 4 Rs very much match his 4 phases of school improvement, if you like. And what we do within those phases is very similar to what most schools would do when they're trying to bring about school improvement in either renew or refine or rich and so on. So it's not that different. But we have, like I say, lots of co-constructed KPIs. So this is just one example from our CIF. This happens to be the curriculum planning section, which falls under the quality teaching and professional development. And then you have the 4 sections there, and they have all been co-written, particularly by our teaching and learning leads across the trust. And they're used developmentally. So when we carry out those QDRs, we will bring about this documentation and we will have discussion and collaborative discussions around it. Quite often it is purely in a coaching model, and we will say very little on a QDR. And what we'll do is ask coaching questions according to this, so that schools can really identify and self-evaluate themselves what needs to be done. And then so too, you can see here an example of the department improvement framework, which again includes a section on curriculum planning. So some of it mirrors in terms of those subcategories, and these have all been co-constructed to codify the excellence. I think what's interesting is this is constantly evolving because people are using it genuinely to bring about improved practice. They're engaging with it and they're asking questions, and we're making additions and extra subcategories all the time. So we've now developed some equality, diversity, and inclusion KPIs that are very specific, that supplement that specific area. We're developing SEND KPIs. We're developing careers, character education, and so on, because people are really interested in that codifying and that definition of what makes rich practice. So yes, we do have weights and measures. We do have dashboards and documentation. These inform what are called our templates. So our schools have to fill out data sheets, if you like, once every half term. And that includes all of the standard information that you'd expect, that will range from exclusions and attendance data to progress, attainment, and so on and so forth. And that very much matches the KPIs that are part of our school improvement framework. But what also happens in that dashboard, you can see on the top there, is our schools will use a simple Google sheet to fill out where they think they are in each area, using the documentation and the evidence. We as a team, the school improvement partners, will do that. And then we will arrive at a discussion together to codify exactly where schools are. But what's important about this as well is it's supported by that capacity. And if schools have an area that is renew or refine even, that can bring about support. Some schools develop playbooks. We're developing a playlist. So what this model can actually do is I could have in front of me all of the radars, for example, for, I don't know, English in year 5. And then I can look at where is there great practice in year 5 English, and can we then utilize those practitioners to put videos together to show what they do around, for example, the area of questioning or feedback or tech for learning. And then they will appear on our Google site, which is the Chiltern Learning Hub, so that our staff, but indeed as part of that moral imperative, wider organisations can view that to learn how to bring about brilliant practice in the classroom. So I suppose what isn't it? It's what has this model done then for our specific multi-academy trust? And here are some examples of our successes and things we're very proud of. So Chorley High School for Girls, who joined as a RRI school in 2017, were judged outstanding in 2020, which was very much a collaboration, obviously, between the central team, the MAT, and the school itself. We hold responsibility and accountability for school improvement, as do our schools. That's a shared responsibility. Chorley High School for Boys, which has been outstanding for a number of years, maintained their outstanding rating in 2019. Like I've mentioned in the presentation, last summer we gained 2 teaching school hubs, and they are incredibly successful in exceeding their KPIs. Marston Vale has not been inspected of late. It was, and I suppose still counts as RRI, but we would certainly rate that school as good. And Puttridge, who also joined in 2017, had a good rating at transfer, but we might have rated perhaps as RI. And at that particular time, they were 50% under PAM. This school is now top end good and is oversubscribed. And another example of one of our successes is Denby High School, which is a top performing school if you look at the school on the performance tables under similar schools, and they continue to innovate and offer rich practice across our trust. Other examples of a success include the fact that 2 of our schools are EdTech demonstrator schools. Our CPD and LD EduChat have been the largest provider of online professional development for teachers, which was born out of the lockdown situation, and we have collaborated with over 150 organisations. We contribute to publications such as The Key. There are others that we contribute to, and that's just 2 examples of colleagues of mine who've contributed recently. We contribute DEI training. We don't charge, it's part of what we do morally. We were a DFE regional lead on that. and we still contribute to the system there. And finally, like I said, we have a Chiltern Learning School Hub, which is an open Google site where we have a multitude of resources and CPD for teachers, including that playlist that's evolving. So this is just one example of a school improvement model. Like I say, there's probably many things on here that you already do, many things that will resonate with your models. This is just one example. So thank you for listening.